What's up, everybody? It's Greg Birch with Delta Financial, and this is the Be the Difference podcast. This podcast is all about making you a better person in your life and in your business with tactics and strategies on sales, leadership, mindset, marketing, everything under the sun when it comes to being an entrepreneur. And sometimes we bring on guest speakers. Today, I had the honor and pleasure of welcoming Z. Z, how are you? What's going on?
Good. How are you? That was probably the easiest introduction, right? Z.
Yeah, it is actually was the simplest, quickest introduction I've ever done. Absolutely. So Z, what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce you to the audience and the listeners so that they know a little bit about you and they can know a little bit about your background, and we'll jump in. Okay.
Sounds good.
So Z was born in Istanbul, Turkey, and she came to the States in 1992. Hold on, I got to redo this because there we go. In 1982, when she was 12 years old, she grew up in Bergen County and still do reside in Fort Lee. She has a master's in accounting from Pace University. She owns two businesses that are located in Fort Lee as well. One is a commercial real estate firm, Z Realty Group, that she has had for more than a decade. It specializes in ground up national retail development, and they do deals all across the country. Under the Zeal Realty Group, she did receive a CoStar Broker of the Year award twice for Northern New Jersey. She was the only woman to make the list for Northern New Jersey in the years that she won. She's big on women's empowerment, which is why she's making this reference. Silver Defender was invented back in 2018, her other business, 2 years before the pandemic. She's been watching Shark Tank since its inception and always wanted to invent a product of her own. It took her over a decade of watching the show to come up with her own idea. She had a light bulb moment when a friend was leaving the restroom at a local Starbucks and said, as she was exiting, someone needs to do something about touching these door handles. And at that moment, she knew she had the invention that could make the world a cleaner place. It took over 2 years of R&D to get the product ready for launch, and they now have manufactured a film that is 99.9% clean and effective against bacteria and viruses, including COVID. She recommended for films to be replaced every 90 days. Silver Defender can be applied on any high-touch point surface, such as elevator buttons, door handles, railings, grocery shopping carts, gym equipment handles, subway and bus railings, toilet flush handles, and sink handles. She officially launched the company in January 2020, and the worldwide lockdown happened just a few months after. While the entire world was in lockdown, she was on Zoom calls 7 days a week, presenting her product domestically and around the world. As of today, Silver Defender is installed in every continent in the world. It has been an amazing 2 years, growing the startup to a global brand. Currently, they hold 16 patents, both domestically and internationally. All of their products are made in the USA, and they will continue to manufacture them from there. Some of the amazing customers that use Silver Defenders are the NFL, MLB, the World Trade Center buildings, Clorox, Bloomberg, Viacom, CBS, and Chick-fil-A. Those are some big names. And sorry. One of the largest achievements was winning the ISSA award in 2020. The ISSA is the leading worldwide association for cleaning industry. The companies that were competing with such names such as Gojo, Georgia Pacific, Diversity, and 3M. It was an absolute honor to get recognized by the cleaning industry as a startup next to those industry giants. And after winning this prestigious award, they were featured on the cover of the ISSA magazine. In 2021, she was honored with the NJ Biz and Best 50 Women in Business Award, also in 2021. Silver Defender was a finalist for Business of the Year, and this year she was nominated for the EY Entrepreneur of the Year. Recently, she's accepted into the Forbes Business Council and have already been published 4 articles with more scheduled to be released. What's next for Silver Defender is to make a household name when someone mentions Purell. You know they are referring to hand sanitizer. Their mission is to get the company to a level where when Silver Defender is mentioned, you know it is being referred to as an antimicrobial film that goes on high touch points. They also have multiple inventions that are going to be coming to the market in the next few years under the Silver Defender brand. These products are going to be game changers in the health and safety arena. Holy crap, Z. That is a hell of a bio.
Thank you. Thank you.
I love that.
I think we're done here. Thank you. Bye.
All right.
Great show.
And if you guys follow her, you should follow her Instagram. She has some of the most amazing pictures of food. But
It's like working out.
It's like food, fine dining. It's great. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Z,
yes.
What started that entrepreneurial spirit? You know, coming here from Istanbul, what got you to say, you know what, I want to take a chance on myself and start a business?
I've always had it, like, since I was a little girl. I just had it in me. Like, I think some people just have it and you're just born with it. Sometimes I wish I had the mindset where I could just be okay with a 9 to 5, just have weekends off and just have a normal life. But it's just not who I am. I always want to just have something of my own, like my own businesses. And, I had Z Realty Group for a while, and even that wasn't enough because it was just a real estate firm. Everybody has a real estate firm. I was looking for that something different that was all mine. And that's where Silver Defender finally came from. It took a while to get here, but yeah.
That's amazing. And so you still have Z Realty Group that you run?
I still have Z Realty Group. I think we're right now in our 13th year of business, and I'll always have my real estate company. I love what I do. I focus right now mainly only with national daycare development centers, which I love. And, Z Realty is my baby. I'll always have that.
Yeah.
I eventually want to get into development myself in real estate. So that's a company. So I pretty much run both companies 50-50 during the day.
That's awesome. So, I mean, how do you have time? How do you have time to do anything else? Oh, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, she's also day 68.
Today is day 68.
Day 68, 75 hard. What?
That's crazy.
How do you do
that? That has been the
that?
best thing I have ever done in my life.
It's life-changing, isn't
it?
it?
It really is life-changing
mode right now.
Yeah. And it's so funny because I've heard people talk about how life-changing it is. And I'm like, oh my God, these people are exaggerating. But it is the best thing you could ever do. The best.
It is transformational.
It really is. And it has nothing to do with weight loss. When I first started, I was like, oh, it's a weight loss program, right? It is so much more than that.
So much more. The mental strength and toughness and discipline and fortitude, grit, all that you develop over a 75-day period. When you really look at it, it's not that long.
Yes.
It changes who you are, changes your
I'm never going back. I'm jumping into phase 1. I'm doing the live hard. I'm in for the long ride. I am not stopping.
Yes. I'm actually.
So many people ask me on social media, you have 9 days left. You can have a drink. And I'm like, I am not having a drink. That is not my goal.
Yeah. That misses the entire point. It's like I did all this work for 75 days to become this higher form of a human being. Why would I go backwards?
Why would I go backwards? That's what I tell everyone. And I got so many people to start it with me. Many of them fail. I think there's one person that's actually 2 days behind me who's sticking to it, and I'm so proud of her. But it's just something everybody has to try for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so for the listeners, if I buy 75 hard books in bulk and I send them to people.
That's a great idea.
And here's the thing. You just got to commit to reading the book entirety and starting and just go. Yeah. And if you message me, you can message me on Instagram at @GregoryABirch_. If you message me, I will send you the book. Send me your address. I'll send you the book. I'm telling you, it'll change your life.
No, it's life-changing for sure.
How do you find time with all this? You run 2 companies, you're doing 75 hard, you're going to fancy restaurants, you're taking pictures, you're like, how do you do this?
Well, the good thing is I already worked out every morning. So I've been working out probably for the past 20 years, 6 days a week. I'll take a day off, like mostly on Sundays, but that's always my routine. I wake up and I'm at the gym within half an hour. Like that became a part of my life. It is absolutely non-negotiable, even before 75 hard. Because I always say you never, ever regret a workout. I mean, you hate the whole process of getting up and going there. You have to talk yourself into going. But once you're there and you do the workout,
you feel great.
Never say like, I shouldn't have done this. Never.
Absolutely.
It's just about getting there, which is difficult. There's so many times I'll go to the gym and it's cold out and I don't want to get out of the car and I'm like, I should just turn around and go home.
Yep.
We all have those thoughts, but once you're done,
you feel great.
Set. Yeah, exactly.
And on the inverse, when you have bad habits, let's say that you want to eat at Taco Bell
You
and
can,
you're like, oh,
you
little
work
Taco
out.
Bell, you feel obliged to go there. I
Yeah.
don't know many people that after they eat it, that they're like, I'm so glad and thankful that I did it. That was the best decision I could have made. Everyone's like, oh man, I shouldn't eat that.
Yeah.
Like, do the hard stuff that you're going to enjoy and that
Yes.
you're going to be thankful for after you get completed.
Exactly. So the working out part of 75 hard wasn't that difficult. I just had to add like one additional outdoor, which is actually fun because I get to be outdoor, which I don't really do a lot.
Yeah.
I work out. So you just make it happen. And I love that 45 minutes of outdoor time. I usually do it like in the afternoon or at night.
Mhm.
And you get to like process the whole day and plan your next day. It's actually very nice to have that time to yourself outdoor.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So man, you're just like you're worldwide brand that you're
Mhm.
building. You know, you're making moves, and it seems like you have zero excuses. Like you're from Istanbul. You came here in 1992, got your citizenship, and now you're just crushing it.
Yeah.
What makes you different? What's different from you than anyone else?
I mean, it's not about no excuses. It's like, why not? Like, I think anyone can do anything they put their mind to. It's all about mindset, right? You just
Yeah.
have to figure out how to work smarter and
Yeah.
not harder. I mean, we all have the same hours in a day. And if you just prioritize, your day and you stick to a schedule, anyone can do, I could run 5 companies if I wanted to. It's just all about working smarter, I think.
Yeah.
And I
Absolutely.
always say in the morning, it always starts with that workout. Like that gives you the energy physically and mentally to get through your day for sure.
Absolutely. No, I do believe that going to the gym and working out,
Mhm.
it has more mental effects and
Mhm.
positive following effects such as stress release,
Mhm.
endorphins. It actually helps you to think clear. Like I like to think through problems while I'm in the gym,
Oh, me
and
too.
I solve a lot of issues that I'm having. That sometimes I'll stop and I'll text somebody like, "Hey,
I'm the same way. So my
oh,
trainers see me like I tell this to my trainers, like if you see me on my phone, leave me alone because I'll have an idea and
mhm,
I'll put it in my notes
yep,
while I'm working out because I get my best ideas while I work out.
yes, yeah."
And
I
then
listen to podcasts when I work out.
yeah.
I'm not even joking. I listen to 80 while I work out.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah,
funny.
I just listen to Andy all the time when I'm working out, and he'll say something. I'll be like, "Oh, that's a good podcast idea," or "Oh, that's a really good post that I could do. Something I could reword that," and I just put it into my notes real
Mhm.
quick.
Mhm. I have so many things in my notes. It's crazy.
Me too. But it's an effective way to capture those ideas and keep the ideas flowing. And what
Mhm.
you're doing is you're almost creating a habit, a really good habit that when you go to the gym, that's your thinking time. And
Mhm.
it's like your brain automatically starts to work on overdrive because it knows intrinsically
Mhm.
that's where your best ideas are going to flow. And you can actually create that habit to where if you're like, let's say you're writing and you have a writer's block and you put yourself in a position that, hey, every single time I go to the gym, I start to think.
Mhm.
You have that writer's block, you go to the gym, you might just getting out of the environment, going somewhere new and like activating that habit within your mind may get you right past that writer's block where you can start right again.
No, I agree. Yes.
So, and there's a lot of different tips and tricks like that that I've learned, and I learned through 75 Hard.
Mhm.
They're doing that.
Yeah. No, 75 hard is the greatest thing ever.
So it,
Really.
it really is. It's like the perfect free program.
Mhm. I
So,
agree.
um, so I want you to back up to when you first became an entrepreneur and you first started Z Realty Group and you first started to work for yourself. I want you to think about what was the first like most difficult challenge that you had and talk about it in detail. And how did you overcome that?
All right. Well, just to, go all the way back. So I went to college for accounting. I have a master's in accounting, and
Mhm.
that's probably a very boring field to be in. I did like it, but I knew ultimately that's not where I wanted to stay. That's why I got into real estate. I opened up Z Realty Group, which was at the time the only woman-owned commercial real estate company in New Jersey. There are others now, but back then it was the only one.
I bet
And
you there's a lot of challenge there.
it was challenging. Yes and no. Like I never look at male, female. I'm just competitive. I'll compete with anyone.
Mhm. Yeah,
So
that's good.
I don't look at it as a competition. I actually like being a woman in a man's world. um, so I wanted to have.
Positive spin.
I'm sorry.
Positive spin.
positive, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So I had that firm and I wanted to be all woman owned and woman brokers, but then you realize there's really not a lot of women commercial real estate brokers out there. So that plan really didn't work.
Yeah.
There was really real estate wasn't really challenging because I already had experience in another firm for a few years. So that company wasn't challenging. I think the real challenge was in Silver Defender. Getting into something completely out of my element. I have no scientific knowledge, no scientific background. And now I'm in this nanotechnology world, which turns out is all men too. And I'm starting something that I have no idea what it is.
You just have the idea.
I
That's
just
it.
had the idea. I knew that a successful business is about finding a solution to a problem. And this product is a solution to a problem that we have been having before COVID.
Mhm.
Um, that light bulb moment went out. I had the idea and I had to execute it. Like I said, it took 2 years. We had the idea in 2018. It took about 2 years of R&D to perfect the product
Mhm.
because I knew that this could be a life-changing product for everyone. So we didn't want to just rush it and put it out there. There was no rush. And we ended up putting it out January 2020, right before the pandemic. And it just blew up. We
Yeah.
were literally at the right place at the right time. So I had to kind of learn as I was going how to, navigate in this new world that I was in. But it was a great challenge.
Any kind of setbacks, like some like a fire you had to put out, or something's like, oh man, this isn't working. Like that mindset where everything's coming down on you that you had to overcome.
It wasn't so much of a setback. I think it was more of, I always say our product is like being at the start of a pandemic was almost a blessing and a curse.
Mhm.
We became a COVID product overnight. So it sold out before our first manufacturing run was even finished. We were shipping to Australia, China, Canada, you name it. It was all over the world. And I'm losing my train of thought here.
Oh, it's okay.
So where was I going with this?
You were shipping to Australia, to
Yeah,
China.
we were shipping everywhere, so it wasn't, we weren't really putting out any fires, but that first year of business literally flew by. When everybody was in lockdown and, they're baking and doing TikTok dances and binge watching TV. I
Tiger
was on
King.
calls 16 hours a day, every day, 7 days a week with all around the world because this was the time to introduce the product to the world because it was needed.
Yeah.
So, I literally worked for a whole year nonstop and we put the brand out there. And the reason why I say it's also a curse, the timing was because after COVID, now the pandemic is over, we are looked at as a pandemic product. So people think that they no longer need the product.
Mhm.
So it's about re-educating the customer again on what it
That
really is.
makes a lot of sense, and that's probably a difficult challenge that you'll have to get through.
Mhm.
But I mean, really, it's about branding. I think just based on, and I mean, obviously, I don't know that industry, but I would assume that it helps with the big names that you have
Mhm.
as leverage to get other brands and other names that you already have as current clientele.
Oh, yes, definitely. So you can name an industry, I can name a client that
Mm.
is well known within that industry. So that definitely helps. One of our very, very first customers was actually the World Trade Center buildings back in March or April 2020. They were one of our first customers to buy the product. And they put it in, all 7 buildings of the World Trade Center buildings, including the Freedom Tower.
Yeah,
I would drive down there on Sundays, like in the height of the pandemic, just to look at the door and say, "Oh my God, it's still on there." It was mind blowing.
yeah,
And then, other industries picked up, like the NFL, MLB, a lot of sports teams started using our product, in their arenas, in their locker rooms. Then we started having fast food restaurants like Chick-fil-A started using it. So it's been quite a ride just to see these big names that everybody knows using our product to protect their customers.
that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And where do you see this going? What's the big picture, the vision of where you want to take it?
Like I always say, I want it to be the next Purell.
Yeah.
When you say Silver Defender, I want people to know, oh, that's that antimicrobial film that goes on everything. So, eventually what we want to be in is in every train, every bus, every public type of transportation,
Mm.
hospitals, schools. it's pretty much, the possibilities are endless. And we can be literally on every door in every type of industry. So that's the goal with our main product. And then
And
we also have about 10 other products that we're going to be launching under the Silver Defender name
mhm,
that are related to healthcare and cleaning,
mhm.
but totally different products.
And this is also a brilliant business plan
Mhm.
because it's not like a one-time buy. This is
Mhm.
it was a 6-month,
We recommend replacing it every 90 days,
every
every
90 days. Okay, so every 90 days, they're buying more to replace what they currently have. So this is a continuous business model that will just continue to self-feed as long as that business is intact, right?
exactly,
Like it's not going to go away.
exactly.
So, and then I assume that this is obviously copywritten. So, like for somebody else to come in and try to take that design is going to probably be a long time, and they'd have to do a lot of loopholes and workarounds in order to even be a competitor in that space.
Mhm. We had about 18 competitors the first year that came into the market. Um,
Really?
I ordered all 18 products, of course, put them side by side, and I can say that we're pretty much, I always tell people, we're the Apple phone and they're the flip phone. And I can say that because I've seen the product.
Yeah.
God bless them. They all tried very hard to copy, but we really do have the best product on the market
Yeah.
with our designs and our utility patents,
Yeah.
because it was thought through. It was thought through for 2 years.
Mm,
These are the guys that are coming in and just trying to copy on the opportunity and strike during a pandemic.
yeah.
Meanwhile, we created something that's going to be for the long run. So
I,
that's the difference with our product.
I love that. I love that. Now, what was that conversation like when you were trying to get your first client, the World Trade Center?
They
How
actually
did that? How
paid
did that?
less, believe it or not, because they already. So our very first customer was a county building in Bergen County. They
Okay.
started using it. Somebody there saw it's a World Trade Center. The Silverstein Properties came to us for the product,
Wow.
which was an amazing thing. Like we never had to look for the client. They came to us because it was a word of mouth,
Uh-huh.
which was great. And then after that, it just kind of blew up.
It's like drop it in your lap.
Exactly. And another thing that we decided to do within our first few months of business. So our business model was going to be going out and getting a bunch of sales agents, going door to door and selling this product
Mhm.
to residential buildings and, small offices, doctors' offices. That was our original plan, to create this door to door salesman strategy, signing them up for contracts to change it every 3 months.
Mm,
But when the pandemic hit, I realized there's such a big opportunity out there and we have to like strike now while the product is needed. So we got rid of all of our sales agents like within the first 3 months. We're like, scratch that plan. I went to all the large distributors in the world, like the Grangers, the Global Industrials, Staples, Quill, the big guys that have thousands and thousands of employees. Now, when you look at it, we have all these people selling our product on our behalf.
mm,
We had thousands of people out there from every industry just injecting the product everywhere. And Granger became one of our biggest distributors. And through them, we're in the craziest places. We're in airports, we're in a lot of federal prison systems,
yeah.
things that we would have never been able to reach with that first business strategy.
That's amazing. And I want to capitalize on a point that you're hitting here.
Mhm,
When COVID started,
mhm,
there were so many businesses that went into their turtle shell.
mhm,
That was like, oh, this is the world shutting down. We need to protect everything and not strike. We're gonna wait. How many people then came out with when you have businesses like your own that's like, no, we're gonna make some massive moves and
mhm,
we're gonna capitalize on this. That's what successful businesses do. And look at it right now. Right now, we're basically in a recession. Let's be real. But as we go into this difficult period financially, there are people that are trying in their businesses that are trying to go into their turtle shell, protect everything, and weather the storm. The businesses that are going to capitalize and gain market share are the ones that are going to strike now, because while those businesses are protecting and not doing anything, there are customers, there are clients out there that need to get your product and service because your competitors are not doing it.
mhm. I mean, it started out with, obviously we're all doing this for profit. It's a for-profit business. It was all about capitalizing.
Mm,
But then, a few months into it, I'm like, wait a minute, we can actually, we're helping with the pandemic. The
yeah.
product nothing can survive on the surface of this film. So when you put it on a door handle, you can have 1,000 people touching it. It's 99.9% clean, and it has been tested all around the world for the science behind the product. So, if you think about it, we were actually helping with lowering the transmission, which was a great feeling at the time too. So
Yeah,
therefore, I think it made us work even harder. Yes, we were making great sales, but then, we can help one or two people not get the disease. We did kind of help out with that situation too. So
absolutely.
beneficial that way too.
That this is such a powerful story, and I know I really want for the audience to understand that there's so much to take away from Z's story right now, from her humble beginnings to starting working for herself in a real estate and commercial real estate, and her realizing like I want to do more, and that's okay. And she did both. She didn't just quit real estate; she kept doing it while she in the background, kind of running in her mind. Hey, I want to do this. I want to do that. Maybe coming up with idea striking while that iron was hot, and then doing both. And there's nothing wrong with that. So if you're like, this is an insurance, I'm an insurance company, you're an insurance agent, you're listening to this, you can do other things. You can capitalize off of the money that you're making in your agency, in your industry, or as an individual production, set that aside and say, hey, one day I want to run my own product. I want to distribute my own product because I have ideas. And this is a perfect story to relate to in order to capitalize on those desires, those goals that you have.
Mhm.
And so that's why I love your stories, Z's, because it's
Thank you. I mean,
like,
I get so many messages on like social media, people asking me like, how do you do it? Blah, blah, blah. Like you said, I have a real job 9 to 5. I don't have the time. And I'm like, what time do you wake up? And they're like, oh, I wake up at 7, 8. I'm like, all right, wake up at 4 then. Like, you don't need to sleep 8 hours a day.
yeah.
What are you doing at night? They're watching this show, that show. Like those are the things that are not going to get you anywhere in life. You can find hours in a day
Yeah.
to make your dreams come true. You just have to prioritize those dreams.
And to be honest, right now, I've met more people now that are working still remotely
Mhm,
because it's become normalized ever since COVID. So like,
mhm,
oh yeah, I still work from home. So it's like, okay, so you work 8 hours a day from home.
mhm.
So if you take out another 8 hours for sleep, if you have to get your 8 hours, which you
Yeah,
don't, you still have 8 more hours that you can be
exactly. That's
productive. That's
whole day.
another whole day.
Exactly. I agree
So
with you.
what are you doing?
Exactly. What are you doing?
What
Exactly.
are you doing? Like,
Uh-huh.
get to work, maximize your time and your
Exactly.
efficiency.
You can do 75 hard, you could fit that in there within those 8 hours. Yeah.
75 hard takes literally and if you did it, even if you did it slow,
Mhm,
3 hours of your day,
mhm. I agree.
3 hours a day. So you still got 5 hours that you can work in a
Exactly.
business. Working 5 hours a day, and then you're not counting Saturdays and Sundays because that's when you can really capitalize. Get like a good 10 hours, you can still get another 40 hours.
Mhm. I agree.
So there's no excuse. It's just how bad do you want it?
Exactly.
How
I
bad
think
do you want
it's
it?
all about that. It's like, how bad do you really want it?
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Yeah.
What are your next goals? What do you have anything on the horizon besides Silver Defender? Is there anything that you
Well, there's some really, really exciting things coming up with Silver Defender, like new products that we're launching
yeah?
in the next 6 months that are more related to healthcare and hospital systems.
Okay.
And I think it's really going to make a huge impact in the healthcare sector. As we all know, like when you go to a hospital and you get a surgery, the surgery is not the problem, it's the infectious diseases that you get
Mm,
after the surgery. We all know people that went into the hospital and they came home with an infectious disease that had nothing to do with their condition, right?
yeah.
So we're creating a couple of products for the hospital system that I'm surprised haven't been thought of yet.
Uh-huh.
So that's a really, really exciting project that we're working on right now. So I'm excited about that. It's like Silver Defender all over again, but with
Yeah.
a whole different objective.
That's
So
amazing. That's
yeah.
amazing. And it's continues. It's a continual evolution and innovation. And
Hmm.
you're just not stopping. And that's, I think, when you look at businesses, successful businesses, they're always looking to iterate and
Hmm.
improve and grow and take it to the next level.
Yeah, I mean, you always have to pivot, with this product, unfortunately, with it just kind of came to not it came to a stall, but the sales definitely slowed down from our first and second year.
Mhm.
We can't just sit there and wait for it to go back up, which I think eventually it will go back up because people will never will the person is never going to want to touch a door handle after they use a bathroom door. You wash your hands, you either grab a towel or you push with your elbow. Nobody wants to touch that door handle, but people are so sick of COVID and cleaning that part of the business is going to take a while to get back up to where it was before. So in the meanwhile, instead of waiting, we're pivoting. We're going into our other products that are needed right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is a smart business move.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. It's very thoughtful.
Mhm.
Talk about Forbes.
Forbes?
Yeah, let's talk about Forbes. How
Yes.
did that all happen?
So I joined the Forbes Council about maybe a year ago because I like to put my thoughts out there and I love writing. So it
Mhm.
was a perfect opportunity. And I think I have about 4 or 5 articles right now. I actually just wrote one that I just submitted in, and it has to do with the 75 hard, about how
Awesome.
life changing it is and how I think every entrepreneur has to try it because I
Mhm.
feel like it's kind of like made for entrepreneurs, right? This
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's my next article. I think it should be publishing in the next few weeks. I'm excited about that because
I
that's
want to read that
like
one.
the best one that I wrote.
Yeah, because there's a lot of passion behind it.
It is.
There's a lot of passion.
Mhm.
And I mean, we started the podcast off kind of like ribbing back and forth about it, but it it's such a life-changing experience that it becomes part of your identity.
No, I agree. It does. It does. And I feel like it just makes you like superior in a way,
Yeah.
because you're like, how many people are doing this program? And you look and then you see how strong you've stayed.
Yeah.
And then it makes you realize you can literally do anything after this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm on phase 3 right now.
Oh
I'm
my,
in day 16.
okay. Congratulations on that.
Thank you, thank you. And I can tell you that. So I failed a lot in phase 1. I
Hmm.
failed phase 1 probably like 5
Really?
times. Yeah, because
Oh
and
no.
what got me honestly was the 8 critical tasks because I kept thinking I had to do 8
Mhm.
additional. You don't. You got to do 3 additional.
Okay.
The first 5 are the original 575 hard tasks.
Okay.
And so
Oh, okay.
it's extra 3. And I heard Andy go on a podcast because I was like, man, I got to do 8 critical tasks a day. Like, dang.
Uh-huh.
And so I kept failing. And then finally, what I did was I just controlled my schedule. I started up every morning. I'd wake up and I'd literally write out the first things like, these are the 3 things I got to do today to take my business forward, to take me forward, or do something new or unique. And like, not like, oh, I need to go pick up my dry cleaning. Like, nothing stupid like that. So usually things I'm avoiding that I know I need to do.
Mhm.
But I will tell you, if you're not a fan of cold showers, this is my recommendation
Uh-huh.
is I always do my cold shower. And I used to, when I first started, I would get in the shower, it'd be hot. I would wash my body. I would turn it cold. I would start a timer and then I would sit there after got hot. And then that drastic difference in temperature, I would just sit there shivering for 5 minutes with nothing to do. And then I was like, well, I need to do something to like occupy my mind. So I'm not just sitting there miserable. So I stopped doing the hot shower and I just turned it cold, jumped in and washed myself so that
Uh-huh.
and it was way better. So, and then now what I do is I go for my workout. And then after my workout, I literally come home, get right in the shower because my body's overheated and it feels very relaxing. It's still cold. That initial jump in is kind of like a shock, but it feels very relaxing.
Mm,
And it actually helps to like regulate my body temperature. And
okay.
by the time my body's cooled off, my skin is numb
Mhm.
from the cold water.
Okay. I'm going to
So
try that. I tried a minute the other day just to get myself prepared for it, and it
yeah.
was not fun.
Oh no, it's definitely
Only
not.
a minute. It's only a minute. Yeah.
You get used to it though. It gets to a point to where it doesn't bother me anymore. And it's actually very refreshing. Like
Really? Okay.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
it gets to a point where it's actually very refreshing. It doesn't really bother me. There's some days where I'm just like, I just wake up and just jump in the cold shower and just do it first thing. But usually now I just do it after a workout and it's a lot more bearable.
Mhm.
So
I
I
know
try to
people
do other things like I'll shave in the shower.
they're like, "Wasn't 75 days is not enough? Like, why do you have to do phase 1?" I'm like, "I'm actually looking forward to the challenge. Like, I'm
Yes,
looking forward to the next few things that I need to do."
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then I will tell you out of what I appreciate most about phase 3 is the random conversations with the stranger.
Mm.
Um, I had, I was in California on a work trip. So I've traveled now twice and I have another trip coming up.
Okay.
I will travel 3 times during phase 3,
Mhm.
which is a challenge all in and of itself when you're trying to also do all these things and do those extra tasks, but you can make it work.
Mhm.
So I was in California for basically like a 24-hour stint. I was coming back. I was literally leaving the next day, and I was in the hotel lobby,
Mhm.
and our flight still was like 2.5 hours out. But I was like, well, let's just sit in the lobby. I was going to knock out some more tasks, get
Mhm.
some work done, and just kind of relax. And there was someone in the lobby that saw me, and they looked at me, and I'm a tall person. We've never met, see, but I'm 6'7", and I'm two like right now I'm like 230, but typically I'm 250.
Uh-huh.
I've lost a lot of weight on phase 3 because I've been really extreme. I've did that extreme diet,
Mhm.
and so um, I'm a massive dude. Like I'm a presence anywhere I go.
Mhm.
And so I saw this person look at me and like double take and be like, whoa. And it happens all the time because I'm just a really big guy. So I used that as an opportunity to be like, okay, let's have a conversation. So I walked up and just held my hand. I said, hey, I'm Greg. What's your name? And I started this conversation, and we ended up sitting there talking for 2 hours
Oh, wow.
because I had nothing else to do. I was waiting for the flight. And she was just the coolest person. And I learned all about her. I just asked her a bunch of questions about what she was doing there. And like she was there for a medical study, and she did this different type of medicine. It was like a more holistic medicine, but she was still getting her MD. And she told me her whole story. And it
Really?
was just, and then we started talking about all kinds of things like the law of attraction and metaphysical a science. And it was like a real like human connection.
Mhm.
And I was like, man, I would have never done that had I not been on phase 3.
Mhm.
I would have
That's
never.
the part I'm scared about the most. That's the task that's going to be the biggest challenge for me
Yeah.
because, I'm on Zoom calls every day. Like I live in front of the camera at this point, just talking to customers all day long. But I don't like talking to people in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's a little weird sometimes, right?
going to be a real challenge that I actually have to go make conversation with a stranger every day.
It's I'm telling you, I was nervous about it too. The first couple times what I did was I went around my neighborhood, and I
Mhm.
would just go to another house. I'd knock and just be like, "Hey, I'm Greg. I
Are
live
you
in the
kidding?
neighborhood.
Oh my
We've never talked before. I've lived here for 3 years. Like,
uh
how long have you been
Yeah.
here?" And started a conversation
Oh,
that way.
wow. Okay.
And then I started just doing it in public. So like on days when I would have a flight, I would
Mhm.
just look to the person next to me and be like, "Hey, where are you off to?" And then start a conversation. Hey, and it's the easiest thing in the world. Reach your hand out and to say, "Hey, I'm Greg. What's
Mhm.
your name?" And
Mhm.
people at first are like kind of taken back, but then they actually laugh and they're like, and they start talking. And then hey, I know it's kind of weird, but I'm doing this thing. I like to connect with people and just introduce myself and learn something about you, because it's great conversation. And they're like, that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's like really cool. I'm like, why are you doing that? And then I'm like, oh, 75 hard, blah, blah, blah.
You get into it. Yeah.
And it's just a really great conversation. And I was actually, that was what I was very nervous about too.
Uh-huh.
And I think it's the best thing. It's this awesome.
Well, I'm looking forward to this part of the journey. That's going to be difficult for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You never know who might meet. You never
No,
know.
that's true. I agree. I just have to
So
go out there and talk to strangers.
So Z, any last words of wisdom? Any last encouraging thoughts or lasting impressions that you want to leave to the audience
Um,
about what your journey's been, what you've experienced in order to help them to take that leap, that entrepreneurial leap off the cliff?
I think like the biggest thing that I do every day is just like I'm very into like manifestation and gratitude and all that stuff. And I feel like not enough people do it. Maybe they do, but I feel like it's such a powerful tool
Mhm.
that's free that you can just do.
Yeah.
You just have to be, to me, like every morning I have this thing where I write in my book and, it sounds cheesy, people are like, oh, I journal, I do this, but it actually does work.
It does.
It really does. And I think the power of writing things down is just so important. You can think it, but I think writing it down makes them actually come true.
Mhm.
I have this journal where on one side of the notebook, I do my like 10 gratitudes, what I'm grateful for that I already have. And on the right side, I do my manifestations, like the things that I want in life, both like personally and professionally. And just the other day, I was looking through my notebook that this notebook I've had since March of last year. And I was looking through my notebook And I got all emotional because I realized like so many things on the right side that I have manifested, as months go by, they're on my left side of gratitude. Like I have them now, or I'm in the
That's
process
so
of
awesome.
getting them. So I think it's so important to write them down because you can go back and say, wow, like there are things that I wanted that I had no idea how they were going to happen. But I think if you just like, like believe in God and like let him do his thing, he figures out a way. You know,
That
and
is
it's
so
so
awesome.
true because there are certain things I wrote on the right side. I'm like, this is so crazy, it's impossible, but just, have faith, it will happen. And he figures out a way of doing it,
Mm.
not the way you envisioned it to happen, but I think that's just very, very important, especially for like an entrepreneur. Like if you have a business idea and if you have dreams, write it down.
Mm.
Like my first thing, I'll tell you what my first thing on the right side is. It always starts with, I will be on the cover of Forbes magazine. That's my first manifestation. And I've had other things that were kind of crazy like that happened. So I'm like, why not? That could happen. If I could just take my business to the next level, I can get to the cover.
Mm.
So that's my thing. Just write things down, your dreams, and just like work all day to make them happen.
That's amazing. And something that I want to impart upon everybody, writing your gratitude is a active process. It's
Mhm.
not something like, oh, I'm a grateful person. Okay, well, when's the last time you've actually written down something you're grateful for, or actually intently thought about it and had feeling and emotion behind it? you know that's something that a lot of people just don't do, but they'll say I'm a grateful person, but they don't actually practice the act of gratitude, or telling somebody that they're grateful for something. And I can tell you right now, there's a a process that I was in the military, and in the military we had something called hunting the good stuff. And what it was every day you would write down 3 new things that you were grateful for, and it had to be 3 new things. It couldn't be the same thing over and over again. And what it did is it reframed your perspective, and it reframed the lens in which you view the world. So you had to start scanning the world constantly to find something you're grateful for, or experiences to see it in a positive perspective that you could be grateful for. And because you can only use so many, you only say, well, I love my family, I love my mom, I love my lover, my girlfriend, my boyfriend, my dog, my house. Like you can only say that stuff, and then you're going to run out of that stuff. And now you have to start thinking on a different playing field. You have to start, because if you say, I'm going to write this down every single day, no matter what, it literally changes the lens in which you're viewing the world, because you're hunting for good stuff. You're hunting for that positivity.
I like that.
It changes your perspective quite a
I
bit. So
agree. Yeah.
I love that. I love that advice. The last question I ask all my guests is, you can break bread and have a dinner and pick the brain of anybody in the history of the world, living, alive, dead, doesn't matter. Who are those 3 people?
3 people. Oh wow.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's so many people I want to meet. That's a difficult one. Um, I wish you asked me this question before so I can prepare in my mind.
I like it like on the fly, because it's like, oh, this person.
Definitely, I would say Napoleon Hill.
Okay.
Definitely, because I
Napoleon.
read
That's a
his
good one.
books. I love Napoleon Hill. I have his books by my bed. That's just one of my favorite authors of all time. That
Mm.
guy is definitely someone I think anyone would want to sit down and talk to, right? The amount of information you can get out of that guy. Um, Another person I would say is Ray Kroc. He's always been my idol. I mean, I've always loved the whole McDonald's story. I've read the books.
Yeah, it is a good story.
Yeah, and then you watch the movie The Founder, like what this man has done at the age of what, 50, 55. It shows you that the age is not a number. He
Yeah.
literally created this empire, this real estate empire, you know, at the age of 50. And who was the third person? I think I would want to meet Lori from Shark Tank because I feel like she was always an inspiration to me. I would always watch Shark Tank, like I said.
Mm.
And, she has invented over 100, I think she has about 120 patents. It's someone I look up to.
Mm.
I would just want to talk to her. I mean, she's constantly creating stuff. So I
Yeah.
feel like her and I would be in the same mindset. So that would be my third.
Those are 3 fantastic choices. I love all of those, actually. And those are all unique. We have not heard those on the show
Okay.
yet.
Who
So,
would be yours?
you want to hear mine?
Yeah,
Sure.
like no.
This is good.
Yeah.
So, my first one and I'm not even sucking up. I want to break bread with Andy Frisella.
Okay, that would be cool.
That man is my fucking spirit animal.
Okay. Yeah.
Like if people there's people that say like, dude, you're just like Andy because the way that I talk and the way that I act and the way that I respond to things, they're like listening to like I get them to listen to the real after like it's like I'm listening to you.
Okay.
So man, I would absolutely adore having just one-on-one, me and him, just picking his brain, right? And my second would be Abraham Lincoln.
Okay.
There's just something about Honest Abe, like historically, especially during the Civil War, that was it was one of the most challenging times in American history, and when we were divided. And I really there's a story in How to Win Friends and Influence Others or Influence People, that it talks about the way that he would deal with the generals and how he was like so diplomatic and he was so just influential to make sure that putting the people in the right spaces and talking to them in such a way that it didn't demoralize them during a very, very difficult, because we were like at war with ourselves, like brothers and sisters and stuff like that. These people, we knew each other. And so it was the way that he handled that. Man, I would love to just pick his brain and see like where he picked it up and how he learned that. And then the last one would be Martin Luther King.
Okay.
Martin Luther King is somebody that he was able to start and do such a massive movement in a time that there was no social media. There were no ads that went out. There was no newspaper articles. There's no TV commercials. And he was able to amass this incredible movement to get all these different people across the nation of different races, different colors, about a singular belief, like a single why, that all was intrinsically like within all of them. And the reason they did it is because they believed the same thing, and they showed up at the right time, at the right place. And that right there is amazing that he did that.
Yeah.
Pre-social media,
I know.
pre-telecommunications.
That's a good list too.
So those are my three.
Yeah. Okay.
So thank you so much, Z. You're the first person actually to ask me who my three are.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's good. I don't mind sharing. I've heard some really good ones that I'm like, ooh, that's a really good one. I'm like weighing, like, oh man, it's a really good one. Like one person.
If I knew this question, I would have like thought about it, came up with the perfect three.
Yeah.
Oh, after this call, I might say, "Oh, wait, actually, I want to change one of my answers."
but honestly, like I think that the initial feeling, the initial thought, those are the perfect three.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think, like now that I think about it, definitely Napoleon Hill and Ray Kroc would still. Maybe I might change around Lori, but yes.
Yeah, definitely. So Z, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with the audience, to speak with me. I learned so much. And if you're watching this, if you're listening, do me a favor. We don't do any ads on the show. We're not promoting this. It's all by word of mouth. And I desire to provide value and give you good content that you can learn and grow from. And if you got value, you obviously listen to now. Do me a favor and share this content with somebody. You can text it. You can send a link. You can put it on your social media. You can put it on a post, on a story. It doesn't matter. But also, this also helps Z. This helps Z to get her brand out there and to find more people talking about it. So she wants to become a household name. You can help just by her providing the content and strategies that she did on this podcast. So do me a favor, share the show as long as it provided value. Z, if anybody wants to contact you, if they want to learn more about and they just want to reach out and connect with you, what's the best way they can do that?
Probably just through social media. It's Z_Silver Defender.
Okay.
And that's how you can find me.
On your Instagram?
Yes.
Perfect. This has been the Be the Difference podcast. As always, I'm your host, Greg Birch. Until next time,